Should be, because that's where everyone wants to be. Andy Jones, how are you? Susanna Bunnickwatch, how are you? Welcome to our channel. Thank you for joining us. And who else do we have here? Our buddy TMI, the gorgeous Jessica McCreary, and Stargazer, how are you? Thank you for joining us. Moving on here in roll call, my buddy Jose. There he is. Give us a wave, Jose. Jose, by the way, always waves back, so we're always thankful for that. Here we go. Who else is here? Go 66. Boo to you. Nicola, how are you? Nice to have you here. Media Fox, thanks for joining us tonight. And hey, Ray, nice to see you. And where are we? Ufologist, the gorgeous Larry Schulte is here. J Realty, welcome to our channel. Thank you for joining us. And we got about 30 seconds. Can we get this all in? I don't know. Terry Brown, nice to have you back. Awesome. Annie Svensson has returned. There's our gorgeous Jenny. Bob Berkins, excuse me, good to see you. 15 seconds. Can we do it? Can we do it? Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Bombshell Bomber. Andy Morrow from the UK. Good morning to you. Welcome to our channel. 3 seconds. Horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Jam-packed show for you all tonight as we have Jessica Jones joining us. We're talking Sasquatch, we're talking ghosts, and we're talking whatever else she wants to get into because, damn it, she's into the woo. And you know we need our woo fix right off the bat. Then in hour number 3, we're going to get into another great story from our resident swamp dweller, the swamp dweller. Fedora John brings us the UFO report, Shirky Poo's news, and the thought of the Dave. Jessica Jones is a paranormal investigator and remote viewer based in Northwest Georgia. She's an active field researcher and member of Enigma Research Group, Anomalous Studies and Observation Group, and North Georgia Cryptid Researchers. All are action-oriented research groups which conduct field research associated with all things paranormal, particularly Bigfoot. Yes. Yes. These groups have obtained groundbreaking evidence at several paranormal hotspot hubs in the southeastern United States, comparable to the infamous Skinwalker Ranch. We're going to find out all about that tonight as Jessica Jones joins us here. Jessica, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time, and definitely not the last. How are you?
Hey, Dave. I'm amazing. Thank you for having me on.
Glad to have you here, and thank you so much for hanging on out with us. All right. Lovely woman, Southern Belle like yourself, how do you all of a sudden get in the forest and chasing down these monsters? How did this start?
Well, I've been attuned to the paranormal my entire life, and, it just happened. I didn't go looking for Bigfoot, to begin with, but it just kind of came across my path. And I'm one of those types of people who I love getting out of my comfort zone. I put myself out there, and I love to try a little bit of everything. Okay. So, if an opportunity presents itself, I usually take it. Right. So yeah, my mom was going to these weekly meetups on Wednesday nights at a friend's house where they did paranormal, discussions and things about the metaphysical and stuff like that. And one week they had some gentlemen who were going to be there to talk about their Bigfoot field research. And so my mom said, hey, come with me. I went with her that night. And I met these gentlemen who really believed in what they were doing. You know, I could see it in their eyes. You know, I saw their evidence of Bigfoot. They were trackers and survivalists. And, you know, these guys have been in the woods for a long time doing this research. And, of course, I had the common questions that every, you know, normal person has. Like, well, where's a body, you know, and what about the poop and things like that, you know? And so, of course, the guys were like, well, you know, hey, why don't you come with us on an expedition? We're having one, you know, in a couple of months. And I was like, well, of course. Okay, sure. I'll go with these strangers in the woods, whatever. I don't know them, but why not? Let's do it. And best decision I ever made. And so that's how it all started. And that expedition, the weekend that I went, not only did we had Bigfoot activity that weekend, but we had UFOs. We had, you know, interdimensional stuff going on. God knows what. There was so much weirdness out there that it was life-changing, honestly, in a lot of ways. But yeah, I put myself out there. I was bait, you know, that typical thing that, you know, all the newbies have to do. But I found that I love it, by the way. So, but yeah, I went out there, and at the end of the weekend, they asked me to join their team, and here I am. So yeah,
good for you.
That's how it started.
Good for you. You know, we always go in. Now, you're somebody who has kind of been a believer since childhood because you are intuitive. You are somebody who has dealt with the paranormal and supernatural your whole life. And the majority of us do not know what that is like. So for you, going from, you know, being more involved with the paranormal and ghosts and everything, getting into the cryptid world, what opened your eyes to it?
Just, you know, as a kid, I saw ghosts and things like that. I would sit in the yard at night and watch for UFOs. You know, I come from a very open-minded family. And so that's kind of how it got started, was that, you know, I wasn't ever made fun of for, you know, being into this kind of stuff. And so, you know, it was just a progression. It was just natural. You know, I'd always been into ghosts and fortune tellers and, you know, any kind of monster and aliens and stuff. But I just never imagined that I would be encountering aliens as an adult. So,
but you know,
but yeah,
it's the coolest thing, though, to all of a sudden call yourself a monster hunter.
Oh, yeah, I've never called myself that, but I guess I kind of am. I don't actually hunt them. They hunt me.
Okay, so on your first exhibition that you went on, you said that you were used as bait. What does that mean?
Well, you're kind of put out there as, you know, walking out by yourself or put in one place alone, okay, usually, in these deep, dark woods. While all the other guys will sit back, you know, 50 yards with their night vision and FLIRs and watch you to see what happens, you know, that kind of stuff. Like you're trying to lure the Bigfoots out. And so, you know, of course, all the guys were like, oh, they love females. I dare you to go be bait. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll do it. You know,
you do realize that this is how David Paulides makes his money off of missing 411, right? I mean, situations just like this where you're going into the forest and all of a sudden Sasquatch goes, ooh, something smells good in the forest.
Yeah.
You know, puts on his Sasquatch cologne and, you know, maybe a little, you know, deodorant or whatever. And next thing you know, you're a date.
Oh, man. Well, you know, like I said, I like to put myself out there and see all that life has to offer, experience everything. So, and I knew that the guys would see me get taken by a Bigfoot if that happened, and they could at least tell my mom where I went. So,
well, that's good. That's good. Up here in British Columbia, actually, the First Nations over the last couple of centuries have literally tried to tell their young ladies, do not go out after dusk alone, because there is a chance you could become a Sasquatch wife. And that's a true story. True story.
Well, you know, we have a rule. Like, we have protocol. We don't go we never go out in the woods alone, ever. We go out in teams. We always have a partner with us. We have our CB radios. We carry ham radios out in the field, and we never go alone. And we're in constant communication with base camp when we're out in the field researching. And we have good reason for that. It's not just Bigfoot that we're worried about. There's plenty of other stuff that we've encountered out in the woods that could be an explanation as to where all these missing people are going.
Okay, what else have you encountered?
Well, my team has encountered what we consider a portal, for lack of a better term. Okay, so if you'd like for me to talk about it, we can go there.
Let's get right into it.
Okay.
Let's get right into it.
Sure. Well, my show is called Into the Portal, okay, on KGRA. I do a weekly show. And there's a little history behind Into the Portal with my team, because there was one fateful weekend. We were out in an area that we researched that we call the Meadow. Now, you guys might be familiar with the head of one of my teams is Trey Hudson. He wrote a book called The Meadow Project, Explorations into the South Skinwalker Ranch. That's my team. Okay. And so if you guys have heard that, or if you've read the book, then you know our story. But, we have ongoing investigations in this place, undisclosed location, but it's, very remote. We have to hike in, and, we've spent many years researching this area. And not only do we have, Bigfoot type activity, we have, possible MIB, like Men in Black stuff going on. We have UFOs. We have lights. We always have orbs. We have just the whole range of all sorts of weirdness out there. And we've had something that showed up in the middle of the field, in an open field, that we can only describe it as a portal, because there was just, my guest on my show this past Saturday was the man who actually spotted this thing and the night that it happened. But it was just a big, gigantic cube that showed up in the thermal. And it wasn't actually there. You couldn't see it with your own eyes. And two of our team members were sent to this to go investigate it, as it was kind of dissipating a little bit. It was kind of like a solid looking cube, and it started dissipating, and the two gentlemen walked to it and disappeared. Their heat signature completely disappeared, even though this is an open field, you guys, open field, and lost radio contact. They said they couldn't see the stars. The entire environment changed, and they turned around and walked out after a few seconds, and the environment was, thick vegetation again, and they could see the stars, and, the temperature changed and all that kind of stuff. It was really weird. And the people that were watching them through the FLIR, or the thermal, said that the thing just kind of disappeared. So, if that thing had disappeared with our team members in it, they may have disappeared with it.
Very weird, man.
Very weird stuff, though, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with portals, and I'll be honest with you, these portal things just absolutely intrigue me. They really, really intrigue me, because I literally think that a lot of these missing people don't even know that they've walked into a portal, and on the other side of that portal, everything is exactly the same, but on this side, they're gone. And I always take it to David Paulides in Missing 411 Canada, his book, where there is this story of these two sisters and their friend, and they're out horseback riding. I believe it's in either Manitoba or Ontario here in Canada. And they come to a fork in the road. And the one girl says, "Let's go this way, it's a shortcut," whereas the other girls are saying, "No, let's go the other way, okay, because that's the way we came." Well, they decide to split. The girl who takes, or the two girls who take the regular trail, show up back at the barn. The other girl who took the shortcut, both her and her horse have never been seen again. Now, I can understand, okay, the possibilities of, like, that little girl, I think she was like 10 or 12, something like that. That little girl disappearing, under fraudulent or criminal activity, if it's just her and the horse is found. But when a 1,1300 pound horse goes missing as well, this adds a whole different ball to the game. You know what I'm saying? And I believe these portals are the reasoning that we are able to maybe accidentally walk through them.
Yeah. Well, you can't see them. So, but the gentleman that walked into it, I've explored this portal quite extensively on my show, and I've had different people come in and we talk about the black cube, and my friend Barry Littleton is a paranormal investigator, and he's been on my show twice now. The first time just specifically to talk about the black cube, because I was a speaker at Camp Disclosure last year, and so was Barry, and that's where I met him. And he was given a presentation. He's been abducted most of his life, and by extraterrestrials and whatnot. And so he had all these beautiful pictures that he had drawn of the inside of spacecrafts. And in one of them, there was a cube, much like the one that we saw in the field. And so we explored what that could be and how, is that a teleportation device, a Stargate of some sort, some sort of energy generator? I mean, we don't know, I don't know. But we were trying to kind of make connections and connect the dots, and I don't claim to know anything. Okay. I don't, but we can explore things. And that's what, as researchers, that's what we're here to do, is just to try to, we have these experiences. It doesn't make us an expert on it. It just means that we had an experience, and we have this now. What we have this information now, what do we do with it? So, but yeah, it's kind of interesting exploring all this, but it's very tragic that we have so many people going missing in our national parks every year. And a lot of times they're not even reported. There's no number. David Paulides had a hard time. He was like pulling teeth trying to get the numbers from the government, But I think that we deserve to know the dangers out there, and who the higher ups know about this. Like, what is this cube? Where did it come from?
I'm sorry, I got to cut you off right there. What do you mean by this cube?
It was a cube. It was it was a transparent. Well, they said it wasn't transparent at first. The guys who were actually looking at it through their thermal. It was just a box, like a square that showed up in the middle of an open field, and it had just a heat signature to it. And there was nothing there. With our, we know this meadow like the back of our hands. And so when something shows up in your thermal, it's, your thermal imaging, monocular. It was just strange, and so that's what it was. It was just it was like a box.
No kidding.
That disappeared. Yeah. It appeared and then it disappeared. Yeah, I know, right? Very, very weird.
Do you think it was something ufological?
I don't know. See, we don't know. I mean, I have thought about this so much since that happened. I mean, it could be alien. It has to be alien or something of some sort. Is it a portal? Is it an interdimensional type thing? Is this where Bigfoots are coming in and out? Spacecraft, aliens? Is it government related? I mean, I don't know. I have no idea.
How often is this cube seen?
Just that one time.
Wow. And how big was it? Like, was it small?
It was about 30 feet. No, it was big. It was like the size of a shed or something. It was big. It was pretty large.
No kidding. Mm-hmm. No kidding. That does sound UFO. That totally sounds UFO.
It does.
Now
it does.
Go ahead, please.
No, I was just going to say, we don't like to label things, my team is all trained in remote viewing, and we are not, we try not to label stuff. So we don't know. And of course we can have our guesses as to what we think it is, but we really don't know.
All right. Jessica Jones is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We got about 4.5 minutes left before we got to hit our first break at the bottom of the hour. Jessica, just by listening to you sound, I mean, you're somebody who kind of governs the research into all facets, whether it's paranormal, supernatural, cryptid world. I know that's your forte, but you are kind of getting into more of the UFO stuff as well. A lot of researchers today are starting to really, really accept the fact that the phenomena seems to be all tied together. The majority of researchers out there are still wanting to do their thing and segregate the paranormal from the cryptid world, from the UFO world. But those who are really going after answers in the phenomena do believe that it is all tied together. Where do you stand on this?
Yeah, I think that hits the nail on the head. It's all connected. It's always been all connected. You know, the first weekend that I went out on that first expedition, I went out looking for Bigfoot. I went out looking for a big hairy primate in the woods, and I had UFOs flying over my head all night. You know, we had weird, just all sorts of other paranormal stuff going on, trickster spirits and all sorts of stuff in base camp. You know, orbs. We have orbs almost every time we go out into the woods. You know, what are orbs? So we just have so much, and it's just all connected, you know. And I grew up having, you know, ghosts visit me in my bedroom at night. You know, I'd wake up with ghosts. Now, knowing what I know now, like, were those even ghosts? Because I've had ETs in my house as well. So it's like, well, were those, that's what what my brain, that's all I knew were ghosts back then, but they were actually ETs. I mean, I don't know. My brain is so, you know, pew. These days, because, you know, the more I learn, the less I feel like I know, if you know what I mean.
You know what? I always love the way Grant Cameron puts it. And if you've never interviewed Grant Cameron, you're in for a surprise, because don't even bother asking a second question, because he'll ask him one and he's gone. And I love him for it. But it's almost like when you first open that door and you walk through that door, you walk into 10 more doors, and behind each of those 10 doors, there is another 10 doors, and it just keeps going and going and going. And the closer you think you're getting to an answer, the further away you actually are, which is amazing. And one thing I love about Grant Cameron is, you know, he will take a topic and he will follow that path as far as he can go, or that the research will take him, and then he backtracks and tries to glue it together, if he can, with something else that's going on. And I don't think a lot of people really understand that in order to find these answers, we need to be able to not rule anything out, but we have to be able to follow those paths to wherever they lead, whether it's a dead end or not.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I a lot of times, you know, I have my ideas about things, but it doesn't mean that I'm right, you know, because just the more I learn, you know, and the beautiful thing too, especially with having my show that I do and all the people that I've met, you know, and even at the conferences and things that I've attended and spoken at, just making the connections with other people. You know, I know a little bit about what I'm doing, but I meet people who know things more from another aspect of that part of the field or something. And so just it's everyone putting all of our ideas together really helps our research, you know, and kind of can bring us some answers. It's just putting your minds together, you know, and putting all your research together. And I am a part of several different, you know, research teams, and we work with people from all over the country, you know, and it's just, we run things by everybody, you know, just to get everybody's opinion. And so, you know, it's good to have a diverse crew to be able to do that with.
No, and I agree with that. And you know, it sounds like you're running with smart people too. I mean, people who don't have a preconceived notion or condition of what we're actually looking for. Because I think, you know, as we get ready to go to break here, and I'll make a little bit of an opinion here on something, but I think part of the biggest problem we are not, and the reason why we're not solving a lot of these issues and phenomena, is because we're going into the research with preconceived notions of what it is. Whether it's a monkey, a great ape, Gigantopithecus, and that's what we're focusing on. Or with ghosts, you know, we're not interested in finding out if there's life after death or anything like that. You know, we're interested in just playing ghost talk. And on that note, Jessica Jones, Into the Portal, here on Spaced Out Radio. When we return, We're going to find out about some of her Sasquatch haunts. We're going to see how close she's got to the big guy when we return on the mighty SOR. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we're clear. All right. Give me 2 seconds. Rich Hilke's here, everyone. The Rich Hilke. Papa Willie, how you doing, buddy? How's the bodyguard tonight? Awesome Ann Palmer. Gorgeous Michelle C. in Australia. Boy, a lot of you came in right there. Just boom. Hit me. Can't even type it out. Jessica, you having fun yet?
Oh, always, man. Of course.
Right on. Right on. It's good times. Good times. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. I like that portal stuff, man. I love that portal stuff.
Yeah. We've actually encountered 2 portals.
Nice.
But one was at a different location in a whole other state. So, and we don't have that one documented on film or anything.
When I go investigate, my audience hates me for this. I don't bring cameras.
Are we live right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Remember I told you we're still live on YouTube?
Yes.
Yeah. My audience sometimes gets pissed off at me because when I go out in the field, I don't bring a camera.
Yeah. The less equipment that you bring, the more activity you'll get.
Yeah. No,
I'm telling you, that's my experience.
I am, and I hate to say it this way, when I go out in the field, I am all about me. I am very selfish. And I'm not an investigator. I'm not a researcher. I am just someone who likes it when the phenomena happens and when the phenomena screws with my brain and throws me something that I can't understand. Like I have this feeling that one of these days I'm going to be walking through the forest up here and I'm going to run into one of them staircases. That's just
yeah.
I know that stuff is going to happen. I just know. But
oh man, yeah. Hey, you might manifest that if you think about it hard enough.
Mennonite Abe says Dave brings a bucket of chicken from KFC. There is no KFC in my town. I got to travel 45 minutes to get to a KFC. 2 hours to a Taco Bell. It's hell up here. Hell, I tell you. No, but seriously. No, when I go into the field, I go in specifically to see what I can get. I try to bond with the area and try and make something happen. And 9 times out of 10, nothing happens. But it's that 10th time that I just let it soak all in.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's many times we go out and nothing happens. We just have a good camping weekend.
Yeah.
See some shooting stars, Oh,
yeah.
But sometimes it's a circus out there. It can get really crazy really fast.
It can, and it happens fast. Like, I have a couple of gifting sites up here, and we went to the one. Nothing has moved at my one in years. Nothing. I leave it out there.
Really?
Well, there was a big forest fire. There's been 2 big forest fires in that area. I have to move it now because when the last forest fires last year hit, they went and cleared a bunch of trees out to make what do they call them? Fire breaks, right? Mm-hmm. And then they cleared out a bunch of area of firewood or of trees to lay down all the logs that they've taken down for these fire breaks. Well, the one fire break that they made was right by my gifting site, and then they cleared the area to lay down all the logs. Well, the problem is they stopped literally 8 to 10 feet from my gifting site. So I think that's what stopped them, is they probably thought, oh my gosh, like this tree is a memorial tree or something like that. Because I have toys and everything around it. They're probably not thinking Sasquatch, but I think that's what saved it, was that all the toys and everything. But I mean, previous to that happening last year, my buddy and I, we went into that area, and we actually went in. Nothing happened. We go back up to my vehicle where it's parked, because I always park in the same spot, and we got a rock thrown at us.
Oh,
and that was the first time I had a rock thrown at me. Didn't see it. It hit right behind us. 30 seconds. Big thank you to Mark, Sunsaver, Rex, and Todd for the amazing super chats. It really does help what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Don't forget UFO Con that Lynn Wallington and I will be speaking at the end of March, the 25th to 27th in San Francisco, UFOCon2022.com. And if you're going to Vegas for the Spaced Out Radio SOR party, we're going to try and get Jessica there. It is April 22nd to 24th at the Golden Nugget. Make sure you book today. Here we go. We are underway with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Really appreciate you taking the time to join us. I want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue the cryptid talk with Jessica Jones. She is a researcher. She is an intuitive. She is an online radio host with Into the Portal. And let's face it, she's got pretty nice hair too. I know you can't see that on the radio side, but on the YouTube side, definitely nice hair. We'll give it a solid 9 out of 10. Solid 9 out of 10. Jessica, welcome back.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
I like your hair too.
Thank you. Thank you. Mine's a little frizzy tonight. Little frizzy. It's staticky around here right now, but that's okay. I want to get right into Sasquatch because our audience loves this topic. I love this topic. You love this topic, so it's a good place to go. How close have you been to one?
Well, it depends. Okay, so I have never seen one face to face. I have never been close enough to see one's actual face, okay? And I've been doing this for 11 years now, okay? In the field doing research. Now, I have had something run up behind me at full speed and knock my legs out from underneath me and take off running right past me, and there was nothing there, okay? Was it a Sasquatch cloaked? Perhaps. I don't know. I can't say because I don't know. Now, so I might have actually been, hit by one. I'm just not sure. But I've seen them running along the tree line. I've seen them from afar. I've had them come into the camp and whoop and whistle, and I've heard all the vocalizations. But yeah, still never seen one face to face.
How do you think you'd react?
How do I think I'd react? I'm inoculated to all this high strangeness. So, I encourage them to come to me. Okay. So I would not be, I don't think I'd be scared at all. I think that I would just, my thing is I like to communicate and experience it. And like I said in the very beginning, I want to experience all life has to offer, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm sure a lot of, Bigfoots are pretty ugly. No, I'm just kidding. They are probably pretty terrifying to the normal person, but, I'm prepared. And, it'd be nice to be able to shake hands with one.
I want to get close to one. I have had dreams about getting within like 10, 15 feet of one, and I want to have that experience. That's the energy that I keep putting out there, is I just want to have that experience. And, I've been close. I've been within 100 feet of two of them. And it was extremely, extremely, I don't even know how to put it. It was awesome. It was scary. I was grateful. I didn't understand. Was it real? Was it not? I mean, everybody can talk brave about what they saw, but it's a whole gamut of emotions that you go through when you see something like that, or you're communicating with it, or you see an alien or a UFO up close and personal. I'm not talking a little speck in the sky here. I'm talking like 100 feet away.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where it gets real.
It does. And things get real quick, right? So going back to, this is not, Bigfoot related. Well, I guess it kind of is Bigfoot related, but that first time that I was out on that first expedition, we had some pretty intense UFO encounters that weekend. Me and my partner in particularly. And after that weekend, we had so much high strangeness, and it was more, UFO related, that the entire team was trained in remote viewing. So we could kind of go and we could all kind of start exploring these things a little bit more. And we were all encouraged to read books on alien abductions and in the alien phenomenon. And so I was reading books like The Threat and, Alien Life and Communion and all that kind of stuff. And I started having alien contact in my home. Okay. This was shortly after that experience out in the woods. So, of course I shut it down. I quit reading about it because I was worried, well, did I manifest this, So, but they were within, a couple of feet from me actually. So, and I had two of those different encounters. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's very, it's hard to describe it. Actually, it's very hard to describe seeing things like that up close and personal.
It very much is for you. I mean, considering you have had a lifetime of odd experiences and paranormal experiences, do you still react to it anymore? Do you still get startled?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. We had an incident at one of our base camps where something came running through the base camp behind our tent, screaming a blood-curdling, moan. It was like a moan, scream, animal hybrid. It wasn't human or animal. It was the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life. And it was pretty terrifying. It was terrifying. It wasn't terrifying enough for me to get in my car and leave. I stayed and spent the night there that night. I went and got in my tent, about an hour later. But we have a lot of weird stuff that it can be. The normal person would have definitely left. Okay. But like I said, we're all inoculated, and this is what we do. This is what we do for fun.
Yeah, and that's very true. That's exactly what we do for fun. It is we're out there chasing these stories that are out there and these creatures. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have encountered some other strange things in the creature world, and we're going to get into that momentarily. But I want to go back to this, what you said, that you were tripped by something. You're not sure what it was. You said, could it have been a cloaked Sasquatch, which could very well be. It could have been something paranormal. Could have been a wood nymph or a gnome or something along those lines. Let's go into detail. What happened there? Yeah.
Well, I was bait. Remember I mentioned bait earlier.
Bait, yes.
So I was bait. And I had a gang load of guys down at the bottom of the field. And this is what we refer to now as the UFO field. Okay. That night it wasn't the UFO field yet. But we were I was walking up a field by myself up to a tree line. It was about 75 yards, I guess, from the bottom of the field where these guys were. And they were all watching me through their FLIRs and thermals and things like that. And I just said, hey, I'll do it. I'll take off walking towards that tree line. What could happen? What's the worst? And I went and I got about halfway up the field, and I thought one of the guys was running at me full speed. And so I kind of stopped in my tracks, and an energy, which I thought was a person, ran right up behind me, and my legs got it kind of swept my legs out from underneath me, and then it just kept going. So it was about the size of a human, okay, whatever this thing was. And I thought it was, I was so surprised that it wasn't one of the guys. A few minutes later, one of the guys did walk up to make sure I was okay, because I saw it looked like I was in distress, because I kind of lost my balance. But I'm pretty agile and I didn't fall down, and it was more startling than anything. It wasn't like it was threatening in any kind of way. It was more fun. It was more like I'm here and I'm going to, scare the pants off of you today, that kind of a thing. But it wasn't even that scary. It was more kind of like, well, that was weird. One of those things like that was really weird. I don't know what that was. I guess I'll just keep walking towards that tree line. But yeah, I don't know, that could have been a lot of things. And that's why I don't like labeling it. I've never definitively said that was a Sasquatch that was, cloaked or whatever, but it's an option, it's an option. There are spirits,
Go ahead.
There's all sorts of stuff. I mean, it could have been anything.
I want to ask you because, so many people within the Sasquatch community try to say, well, we're doing scientific research on this land mammal or this animal, and there's nothing cryptid about it. It's a Gigantopithecus, but you're talking about things like, could it be a cloaked Sasquatch? Why are you more open-minded than 98% of your colleagues on this?
Well, because and I respect everyone's research, by the way. I don't no shade at anybody, but in my research and in my experience, we have tracks that just disappear out of thin air, not only Bigfoot tracks, but car tracks and vehicle tracks and things like that just disappear out of the same field where that cube showed up. So we also have questions as to where do these things go at night? Where do Bigfoots go? We don't find a whole lot of places where we think they're bedded down. And, I had one of my teammates that came on my show who's a cave specialist. People think that Bigfoots take people, they go into their caves and sleep during the day and come out at night. I don't believe that's true at all. I think that they're interdimensional beings. I think that they are on a different frequency than us. They can come in and out of different frequencies. I may not be right, but that's what I think. I've spent enough time in the woods and we've done enough research to know that it's not what I thought it was in the beginning. Okay.
Well, I mean, so, the thing is, and I'm going to tell you, I think you're spot on. I agree with you. Okay. When I hear people, especially people who are looking at this as a scientific value, where they're telling me that the reason why the tracks disappear is the creature is actually walking backwards in its tracks, and when I ask about a double print, they're telling me, oh, no, it's not a double print. They're full of crap. They are full of crap. And I'll go the extra mile here, and I'll say I have zero problem calling out BS on that. Okay?
Well, here's my take on that, is that people only understand sometimes what they already know. My consciousness is expanded in a lot of ways. And I'm a forward thinker, and I always have been, and I don't think inside of a box. I think outside of the box, and I like to see every perspective, and I like to see every angle of every argument, and it's just with all of the experience that I've had, that's just not the case. There's an X factor to Bigfoot. Okay, there's an X factor, guys. Agreed. And and it's a lot more. The more you're out in the woods, the more weird it gets, and we're seeing and hearing, I've had guests on my show who are my teammates who we've all been out in the woods together, and they were talking about their experiences where, we're hearing footsteps around the base camp, and then a flash of light happens. We have a lot of flashes of lights out in the woods, by the way, but a flash of light will happen and the footsteps stop. So is that a portal opening? Are they jumping in and out of portal? What is it? Like I said, we don't know, but we know that there's an X factor. They're coming and going in and out of something. So we're just assuming those are like portals. That's my assumption.
Have you run into other creatures that you can't explain?
Yes. That thing that screamed in the base camp that time, that's we don't know what that was. We don't want, and that's where remote viewing kind of comes in handy. and a lot of the things that we remote view, I don't talk about. My team is pretty private with things like that. But yeah, it's good to be able to go back and examine those things through with a tool like that. With the remote viewing. But yeah, it's more. I can say we've experienced what I would consider to be an interdimensional creature. It's not a Bigfoot. It's not a ghost. It's not anything. There's no label for it. So there's just a lot more in the woods than people understand, I think.
The forest is an incredible place for everything to hide. Okay, animals have natural camouflage. And I mean, I've seen that firsthand up where I live in the wilderness. I didn't realize how easy it was for a 1,500-pound bull moose to hide itself within trees, 75 feet away from you, to the point where you're having trouble seeing it. Could it be that Sasquatch or any other of these creatures, whether it's gnomes or little people or dogman or whatever else is out there, could they be just masters of their own abilities rather than actually having something supernatural?
Absolutely. It could be that too. It also could be that we just can't see them with our human eyes. Maybe it's us, maybe they're just kind of vibrating on a different frequency than we are. Maybe our eyes aren't able to detect the color that they are or something. I don't know. Like I said, I have more questions than answers to this stuff, but it could be the case. It could be the case. They are very good at camouflage.
So what answers are you looking for? Because this is a tough, and it sounds like such an easy question. It really does, but it's a very difficult question considering the majority of the fields out there, and I'm sure my audience is sick of me saying this, doesn't have a clue what they're investigating. They just know they're investigating something. So what are the questions you are trying to solve?
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. I'm out there to experience. I'm not out there to prove anything to anyone, okay? And I never have been. I'm out there. What we do is we go out and we observe. And, we're not out there specifically researching Bigfoot, okay? Because when we've been out there searching for Bigfoot or examining them, we have all this other activity that occurs, all this other paranormal stuff that happens. So what we do is we go and we just observe. We know there are Bigfoots. Okay. We respect them. We respect the fact that they're out there. We'd like to examine them. And I'm speaking from my personal opinion on all this. And this is me personally, because my team, everyone on the team has, not that everyone has a different agenda, but, everyone's out there for a different reason. And my reason is just to go experience things and whatever happens. And so, and we explore that. So I'm not out there specifically looking to prove anything. I'm just out there to observe and, communicate with whatever's out there and just to, try to figure out whatever answers come across my path, whatever's out there.
Do you want answers?
I mean, yeah, of course. We all want answers, I know that these things are real.
Let me explain that for a second, because I don't think I explained it properly. If we find out the answers, that, let's say a Sasquatch body shows up, okay, the fun of the hunt is over for many people.
Yeah.
Okay, if we find out that aliens are coming here, all right, the fun is over because now it's real. Same with ghosts. Yeah. If we find out there's life after death, the fun is over because now we know. All right, so I'm asking you, you have your own truth. You have your experiences which have guided you to figure out the answers for yourself. Same as me, same as others. But is the truth really healthy for the public?
I mean, it's a good question. There's a beauty in the mystery of all of this, right? So, I don't know. I think that there are a lot of people who are living in their 3D matrix reality, and they refuse to get out of that. Okay. And so, I feel like my job, somehow I have been thrusted into this position right here to help break people out of that little matrix reality. Okay. By just telling my stories and just to, I've been able to expand my consciousness in all sorts of different ways, just from doing something that scares the hell out of me. Okay. And I recommend everyone else do that. Everyone that's listening tonight, you guys do something that scares the heck out of you at least once a year, preferably more. Okay. Because that is going to jolt you into a higher consciousness level. Okay. And that's what our world needs. Okay. Yes. The one thing that I find that everyone who's had a Bigfoot or Dogman encounter or something that was really weird, right? Something that scared them, it jolted them in a whole new reality, right? I mean, it's like, wow, I'm seeing something that's not supposed to be here. This is a monster that I've only heard stories about. This can't be real. And it jumbles your brain a little bit because it's hard to understand it. And it gives people PTSD and, it shakes up your entire reality, but it awakens you consciously, okay, to a whole new world. And so I think that that's something that our entire world needs right now. We need to raise that consciousness of our entire planet because people who are more awake are less easily controlled. And I'll leave it at that.
I love this comment by Fidgety Or in our chat room. Finding the proof would be fun is over for me and probably for a lot of us. The experiences wouldn't change. We just wouldn't be mocked and dismissed anymore. There is a scary side to a lot of this happening. Okay, and there's a reality side that just maybe, things will change. And I don't know if change is healthy for people getting into this. Let's say, for instance, with Sasquatch, okay, if they came out and found Sasquatch, first thing they do is they shut down the area. The government comes in, shuts down the area. No fishing, no hunting, no camping, no hiking, no logging, no mining, if that's in your area. They shut it down. And they will research that area until they find out where's the habitat, what are they feeding off of. That becomes a scientific university experimentation right through then. And I don't think a lot of people fully understand that there are a lot of ramifications with this creature being proven.
Yeah. I mean, we could prove it. I know they're real, we don't give our locations away because of that reason. And a lot of times, you'll be traveling down forest roads and whatnot, and they'll be completely closed off. And those are some active areas, as far as Bigfoot goes and things like that. And it makes you wonder, what does the government know? What does DNR know? What do they know? They know. I think that the higher ups know.
I'm not sure they do. I'm not sure they do. Maybe I'm in a different country, so I know our our country is just, we have too much stupidity in this country when it comes to things like UFOs and aliens and cryptids that we don't have time for that. At least that's the way they act. I mean, I know behind closed doors there's some talks going on, but publicly it's not a big deal. We have 40 seconds left to go with tonight. When we come back, I want to get into the remote viewing with you. And, what's it about? I want to get into your paranormal stories. I'm sure you have some cool stories you could share with us. I
do.
Maybe one, maybe two.
I've got a bunch. Yeah. I mean, starting from my childhood.
All right. Story time when we come back on Spaced Out Radio with our guest tonight, Jessica Jones. She is a Sasquatch researcher, cryptid hunter. She is a paranormal investigator, intuitive remote viewer, online radio host, and I don't know what the hell else to tell you about her because she literally does everything. Apparently, she even folds towels properly. We're going to find out how to fold those towels and more of Jessica's stories when we return on Spaced Out Radio for hour number 2. We got it for another hour here into the portal with Jessica Jones. We'll be right back right after this. Don't ask me where that towel thing came from. It just popped in.
Well, I just folded towels, so that was perfect. I'm impressed. It was that telepathy going on there.
That's exactly what it was. Hi, Michael Fontaine. How you doing? Who else has joined us here? Michael Mack, welcome. And gorgeous Aussie Ange has returned. And yeah, that's it. Adi Both, welcome to our channel. Thank you for joining us. All right. I honestly feel sick. I'm not going to lie.
Oh,
I feel ill.
sorry.
I feel ill to my stomach right now, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm very fine with that. We'll figure it out.
Hey, do you need me to take over? I'm just kidding.
I'm out.
You don't want me to take over the show? Okay.
Take on over.
Oh, man. I'll be your substitute.
It happens. It happens.
Hey, you'd be in good hands. You'd be in good hands.
Well, as long as you fold a good towel, that's all that matters.
Right. Oh, man. I'm okay at folding towels.
What the hell? What the hell? It's where we've gone. This show's gone to hell now.
Oh, it's all good.
I think so.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've got some good haunted house stories, by the way. So we can go there. Yeah.
We'll get into some haunted stories after this.
Yeah, haunted stuff. I lived in a really haunted house.
Nice.
Super haunted.
You feed that to us. You feed it to us.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm going to be just point blank blunt here. I feel like shit, but that's okay. We'll get her through.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. I can feel that, the sick sweats coming on.
Yeah.
I can feel those starting to come on, like right in the temples here.
Yeah.
So.
Oh no.
Yeah, we're gonna push this. I'll give you the play-by-play of me getting sick tonight. That's just the way it is. But yeah, I'll be reporting later from my bathroom as I'm puking my guts out all over the place. No, I'm kidding.
Oh gosh.
Cute face and ultra cute giggle. Thank you, Uncle Dale, and your power stash. I appreciate that. Brazelhov, how are you? Hey, Triple Ack, how are you, buddy? Thank you for that super chat there. I appreciate that, buddy. Throw that up there. Of course, that is Triple Ack is part of Thomas Fessler's Disclosure Tonight. Good friends of this show, and we love them. I always warm up my night by going over there and listening to the great shows that they have. Disclosure Tonight, Thomas Fessler on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to that channel by now, why not? Why not? There you go. I can feel it. It's like building. That's okay. Super Duke, how are you? Super Duke. He always wears a cape.
All right.
Yeah, from World Bigfoot Radio. He's awesome. Super Duke. Boom to gorgeous Bama. Boom. That's how we roll. You still awake?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm awake, yeah. Wide awake.
Mm-hmm.
Wide awake. Yeah. My son's in the next room sleeping, but I'm wide awake.
There you go. My guy's upstairs sleeping too. He was rocking a little bit on his guitar earlier. Jojo Bone, what's happening, man? How you doing? Nice to see you. Throw a little Jojo up there. Look at that goatee on his photo. Fantastic goatee. Hardcore right there.
Nice.
We got about 90 seconds. I want to say a big thank you to Triple Ack, Mark, Sunsaver, Rex, Todd, Ed, and Michael for the amazing super chats. It really helps us out what we do on this show on a nightly basis. How you doing, 416? Good to see you, buddy. And Sovereign Farts, how are you? Hope you're ripping well, buddy. Hope you're ripping well. And let's see here. Big thank you to everyone tuning in on the weekend shows. It was fantastic. Tomorrow night on my show, who will be with us? Oh, the lovely and talented Jim Goodall and Darcy Weir. We're going to talk TR3Bs all night long because that's what we do on the show. I love it when Jim Goodall's here. It's just so much fun. He'll be in our Vegas party, by the way. He will be there at the Golden Nugget. Bim Jim, how you doing? There are people trying to get a hold of you, Bim Jim. Better check your email. Yeah, James Goodall will be with us at our Vegas party in Las Vegas on April 22nd to 24th. He'll be hanging on out all weekend long, signing autographs, keeping the ladies away. That's the way he rolls. And he's trying to convince Michael Schratt to join us as well. I hope so, because I am such a fangirl of Michael Schratt's. Such a fangirl I am. It's true. I scream Michael Schratt's here. It's true. Totally true. Oh, don't tease me like that, Jim. Don't tease me that he'll be there. All right, here comes hour 2, everyone.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
We're kicking off hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Neofron. Neofron is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Reach out and read up on Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight. Jessica Jones is our guest. She's out of the beautiful state of Georgia, where we broadcast on WQEE 99 Rock the Key in Noonan. Yes, that's where we broadcast. One of our major radio stations there. And we're talking Sasquatch. We're talking monsters, ghosts, cryptids, remote viewing, maybe a little alien sprinkled on the side. Into the Portal is her podcast, which you can find online. Jessica, welcome back.
Hey, thank you, Dave.
Not a problem. You having fun still? Or are you sick of us yet?
Of course. I'm always having fun. God, this is awesome. Hey, I've never had this much fun at 1 a.m. I'm just kidding. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm kidding.
Time to join us in Vegas. Time to join us in Vegas for the Vegas party, April 22nd to 24th for the SOR fans. That's what we are doing.
Oh, man, I'm going to try. Yeah, I'm going to try to make it down there for that.
You
that
totally
sounds
should.
Fun.
Totally should. It would be worth it. All right, moving on here. We have a lot of story time to tell because you have some incredible paranormal stories that you've experienced over your course of your life. You know, what's one that really sticks out to you?
Wow, I have so many. You know, I started having experiences with ghosts when I was a teenager. And it started off, the first ghost I ever saw was like an orb with like ribbons like floating off of it, you know, in this haunted house that I was doing some volunteer work in. But it progressed into, there was a period in my life where I lost a lot of family and friends. They died, passed away. And it would just come in waves. Like, I mean, a lot of friends and family, including my brother. And, you know, shortly after my brother passed away, you know, he came back to visit me. You know, I've had all sorts of, you know, people that I know coming back to visit. And I've lived in haunted houses. Okay. I've lived in one of the most haunted houses. And it wasn't a very good haunt either. You know, I lived in downtown Atlanta for about 20 years. And I used to go, I've lived in every part of downtown Atlanta, including this place called the Ponce Highlands, right off of Ponce de Leon Avenue in Atlanta, where all the bars are and the clubs and everything. And I had a super haunted house that I lived in. And of course, a lot of the land around Atlanta and around where I live is, you know, was a Civil War battlefield land. Okay. A lot of history, a lot of blood in the soil and stuff, you know, from all the battles. And, you know, this house I lived in, you know, I would come home at night and there would be blankets of flies along the entire ceiling. Okay. Flies, there'd be black masses floating through my apartment and, you know, shoving my body down and just weird stuff, you know. So that was one of the more unpleasant experiences that I had. I also had a night that I woke up and I kept hearing a noise and I thought my cat was moving a vase that I had. Actually, I'm looking at the vase right now. I can't grab it. It's out of reach, but it was like a blown, you know what blown glass looks like. It looked like a bong, but it wasn't. It was a vase, I promise. And it had a flower in it. And I thought that my cat was moving it across the table. And I jumped up and I said, Mayu, stop it. And the vase went flying off the table and it levitated in the air for a good 5 seconds. I'm going to say about 5 seconds. And then it dropped to the ground and it should have shattered all over the floor. Well, I screamed out my cat's name. I said, Mayu. And he was asleep in his bed across the room. The next morning, I woke up and the vase was standing upright and the flower that was in it was on the ground with a little bit of water beside it. But that thing had moved and levitated right in front of me by itself. Okay. So things like that, you know, I don't know. I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it was the house. It could have been me, like this, you know, PK kind of stuff going on. I don't know. It might have been my hormones. I have no idea that caused that. But yeah, I've lived in some really, really creepy places. So, let me think. Yeah, another story, you know, and like I was saying earlier, a lot of these experiences that I've had, I question if that was a ghost experience or was that ET related now? Because there was one evening right after my brother died, he died in a car accident and, it was really, really hard for me. This is my little brother. And, he was 22 when that happened. And one night I woke up and there were all these green orbs floating around me as I woke up and they were illuminated, like just these green, you know, translucent orbs. And they were kind of moving around in this weird motion. And they started forming from the bottom of someone's feet all the way up to the top of my brother's head. It was my brother. And but the orbs formed from his Timberland boots that he had on to his jeans, all the way up to his polo shirt, to his face. And it turned into like a full human form, like solid. And he sat down on the bed beside me and I felt the bed move. And he bent over and he kissed me on my forehead. So stuff like that. I don't know, you know, which actually, like, I do feel like that was my brother. But then we have things like the ghost box and ITC devices. And if any of you guys are familiar with those, you know that it's, you know, you don't really know what you're talking to sometimes. And you may think you're talking to Aunt Edna. You're talking to what people might think is a demon or something, you know, like, So, it's just to me, like that's kind of dealing with things like that with the ghost boxes and the ITC devices. To me, I feel like that's kind of a lower vibrational frequency, and you just don't know who you're talking to. It may be people mimicking your loved ones, I don't know. So I try to, I try not to use those too much, unless we're out in the field. I definitely don't use them at my house. I don't recommend anyone do that.
As an intuitive yourself, why do you use gear?
Use gear? I really don't. I don't use gear. I have the gear. I take it out, but I find that I have a lot more activity when I don't have electronics. And anytime I've taken electronics out into the field, they malfunction. I'll have hours of recordings and they will all be erased by the time I get home. I didn't erase them, so it's just, to me, I personally, don't really even use devices or anything. I take it, I put it in my backpack, and we go out in the field and we do our research, and sometimes I'll pull out recorders and sometimes I won't. But I don't really use that stuff. I have it though.
Well, you have to have it. The toys are fun. But
yeah.
But do you, when you're out in the field and you're dealing with ghosts or you're dealing with any type of entity or phenomena, how do you know what you're getting? How do you know what you're dealing with or whom you're dealing with?
You don't. That's the problem. You really don't. I can, sense energies and things like that, and but knowing what I know now, we don't know. And so it could be anything. I mean, there's also, we have the stuff that the people refer to as mind speak and whatnot. And how do we know that's not like, we have screen memories too. Like ETs will give you screen memories when you're being abducted and things like that. So how do we know that, Bigfoots aren't doing that to us too?
Do you believe, do you believe in the whole mind speak aspect?
I mean, it's telepathy, basically. And so I believe in telepathy, absolutely. I do. Do you not?
Oh, I totally do. I'm a weirdo that way. Of course I'm a weirdo that way. There isn't much I don't believe, But
there was a long pause there. I was wondering for a second.
You know what? I was wondering. I haven't had that mind speak from Sasquatch. I've had it with ghosts. I've had it with aliens. I've never had it with Sasquatch or something like that. And I'm kind of jealous because I would love to get, have that experience with it. I really would.
Well, every time I've had a ghost experience, and I have had people talking to me, their mouths never move. Okay. Not one time I can ever remember. Their mouths never move, but I can hear their voices in my head. I hear voices, but I can hear them plain as day, but their mouths don't move. But you know what also happened when I had ET experiences? They talked to me as well, and their mouths didn't move. I don't even know if they had mouths. I don't remember seeing one, but it's all, I guess that's what people refer to as mind speak, right?
Right. All right, let's get to a question from Brazelhoff here. What physical steps do you take to keep calm and not adrenalized during a session? I can't control that feeling.
Well, it's called being inoculated. It's called having your mind right. And it's also called remote viewing. Okay. So it's basically a form of mind control, and it's not me controlling your mind. It's me controlling my mind. Okay. And that's it. I think that's a very important tool that my team has, is being able to control ourselves out there. And it's got a lot to do with breathing too, just, breathing and just controlling your body, controlling your emotions. I don't take anyone out in the woods with me. I don't take anyone out in the woods with me, only my teammates. None of us do, because the normal person would have a really hard time doing what we do out there.
Why is that?
Because it's terrifying for most people. That's why. Yeah, because you experience things that are not in this reality that we've been taught.
Okay. So let's delve into this a little bit more, because I think this becomes a very interesting part when you say that there, it opens up your mind, it expands you, it allows you to experience things at a much different level. So for you, as you have expanded your mind and your growth spiritually, physically, emotionally, how has that changed the way you've investigated?
Just having a more open mind. Well, it's made me understand that everything's not in this one little box, that pretty much anything that you can imagine can be real, if that makes sense. It's just not, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't like, putting anything and labeling. Like I said earlier, we don't label things because we don't know what we're dealing with out there. I know there's, I've had ET contact, I've had Bigfoot contact, we've had spirits, we have tricksters, we have portals, we have all of this stuff. It's just about it's just having an open mind, because anything is possible and anything can come out at you and we don't know what it is. And so I don't know.
Well, let's get to another story. Tell us a story about one time, whether it's paranormal or in the forest, where you've been truly scared.
Well, it was just the only time I've been truly scared was that one time at base camp when we had the thing that came out and screamed at us. Other than that, there have been times when I'm sitting out in the woods and it's completely pitch dark out there and you can't see right in front of your face, and you'll hear things like tapping on the trees and stuff. And, there are times where you almost see things. I can see things in my mind. I can feel creatures crawling up behind me, but you don't actually see it with your eyes, things like that. That's when you have to calm your mind, and you have to, that's why we never go out by ourselves. That's why we always have a partner with us. We always have groups of us that go out together. Because, we all have each other's backs. and yeah, I guess we kind of all keep each other calm. But yeah, I don't go out with anyone that I would not. I mean, I would lay down my life for any of my teammates and they would do the same for me. So I think that's kind of the secret to all of that when we're going out in those woods.
All right. $5,900 is asking, what's the most interesting, scary thing you've ever remote viewed?
Well, I can't talk about all the things I've remote viewed, but recently, I've been asked by family members to remote view serial killers, victims of serial killers and things like that. I help find missing people sometimes through remote viewing. And so that's actually the most scary thing I've ever remote viewed. Is people who have gone missing and have not been found, and the cases were going cold, and viewing what happened to those people. That's actually the most scary thing I've remote viewed.
I got to ask you this, then, as a follow-up to that. Out of the people that you have looked for while remote viewing missing people, yes, there's those who found foul play or whatever else, but have you ever remote viewed somebody who is no longer on this planet?
No longer on the planet as being abducted or being dead?
No, abducted.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no.
Damn it. I was onto something there for a second.
I'm going to say no, but let me tell you, everyone that I've ever remote viewed, as far as a missing persons case went, they were all deceased. So, yeah, that's not pleasant, by the way. It's really taxing too when you do something like that, and you have to kind of go there and see and try to locate these people, and they're trying to communicate with me on, and let me know where they are. They've passed on already. It's very taxing on my emotional state. And, it takes me about a week to get over stuff like that. or more.
What's your accuracy rate?
Well, it depends on if I'm doing a target that is a practice target or a high priority target. High priority targets, I'm pretty dead on those. Practice targets, I suck. And I think it's got something to do with the urgency of it. Like I subconsciously know that there's someone that has to be found, or there's something that's very important that the target has to be found. And I don't know what it is because my targets are all blind. So I don't even know what I'm viewing. It could be the Eiffel Tower, it could be an event, the signing of the Declaration of Independence or something. I mean, it could be anything. But more than likely it's a missing person when I get a high priority target. So yeah. Or a missing dog. I mean, I've had people call me crying, wanting me to help find their cat and their dog. And yes, I do help them, depending upon how good of a friend they are, you know what I'm saying? So,
I don't blame you.
But, yeah.
I don't blame you, but I really thought it would be kind of cool to see if you had actually remote viewed someone off planet, that they are no longer here on this planet.
Well, like I said, there are a lot of targets I can't discuss. I'm going to leave you hanging on that one, Dave.
I'm salivating over that one right now. We have 3.5 minutes before we got to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Jessica Jones is our guest tonight. Mike Roberts is asking, during your ghost experiences, could you feel their presence, whether they were good or bad? I had 2 separate ones. First, I wasn't scared, felt comfort. Second, I felt fear and that I should be scared.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, ghosts are, spirits. They're just like us. They are us. They're humans, cross on. It's just a soul. And, they're going to be bad and good on the other side as well. So I have absolutely encountered, I don't even want to call them spirit, just energies, very evil energies, very dark. And, some people want to call it demonic, but I don't know, just evil, just not good, negative. We're going to call it negative. And, I can tell. Absolutely. It's all a vibe. It's all about energy, frequency, vibration. You can feel the frequency of things. You can feel the vibration of things, so it's either low vibe or high vibe or somewhere in between.
Interesting question from VPXM here. Why do you have a skull on your wall instead of a normal weird picture?
A normal weird picture. I just like skulls. I don't know. I like skulls. I thought it was kind of pretty. It's got flowers and butterflies on it. So it's kind of like a feminized kind of skull, It's got butterflies on it, man. Come on.
Let it go. It's got butterflies and flowers. Let it go. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, remote viewing. How do you do it?
Well, there's different modes of remote viewing. My favorite, and the one I'm best at, is coordinate remote viewing. And in coordinate remote viewing, we are given a set of numbers, okay? And it's usually to a blind target. And that can be anything, like I said. And it's just, do you want me to explain the process exactly? Or would you just like to know what it is?
We got 90 seconds. Maybe just explain what it is.
Well, it's just a way to locate a target. Basically, if you want to use the word psychically, okay, and it's just out of thin air. You pull information out of the matrix and you write it down scientifically on paper, and you draw graphs, and you basically do like automatic writing and stuff like that. And anything that pops into your head, you write it down, and there's a place on that chart to write everything down. And at the end of your session, you have a whole bunch of data, and then you can just kind of put it all together and figure out what your target is.
Very cool. Is it easy for you to do?
Well, I've done a lot of it, so yes, for me it's easy. Yes,
but for a lot of people, like, it's different than astral travel. It's different than channeling.
Mm-hmm. Anybody can do it. Anyone can be taught to do it. Now, is everyone going to learn it and then use it for good or bad, though? And so that's the problem. Yeah, I have a kind of a code of ethics I go by. There's certain things that I would not remote view, like other people that I know and things like that. It can be very intrusive, So yeah, you can't hide from a remote viewer, by the way.
You ever picked up other remote viewers watching you?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
I have. They're fun. When you pick them up, they're fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's a totally weird experience when you pick them on up. But I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We have Jessica Jones for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. Remote viewing, paranormal, monster talk. She is a monster hunter. She wears brass knuckles going into the forest in case she's got to knock out a dogman or a Sasquatch. More with Jessica Jones. An incredible show tonight on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we're clear. Hi, Heavy Water. Hi, Yancey Scott. Yeah, picking up remote viewers is cool.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, I think that I have picked up myself remote viewing myself.
I have picked up.
Is that weird or what?
This is where we get woo. I have picked up probably 4 or 5 remote viewers, and I have picked up extraterrestrial remote viewers.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I believe it.
Yeah. It's all the. I'm gonna go get a breath of fresh air. I'm gonna be right back because, I just want to get my system going because I'm not starting to feel well. But I promise you, I will be right back here. So hang on out. You can chat with the audience. They're good. They're hearing you.
All right. All right, so I'll answer some questions, guys. All right, so VPXM, have I ever remote viewed a session where I have been mentally pushed back out? I have not, however, my teammates have. I do know of people, if you're remote viewing something that detects you in their environment, certain things can shut you down for sure. There's no doubt. So, yeah. Remote viewing is really weird. And there was a time where I do think that maybe I was remote viewing myself looking back. So, I was wondering what these little lights were in the corner of my room. I think that was me in the future, remote viewing me back then. So, weird stuff, guys. Very weird. We live in a very weird world. Let's see. I'm going to scroll and see if anyone else has any questions. And hey, everybody, all my friends that are watching tonight, I appreciate all you guys watching and all your comments and all this live chat. This is great. Thank you guys for being here tonight. So is remote viewing similar to shamanic journeying? It probably could be, I guess. I don't know. I don't know about shamanic journeying very much. So I don't know. Is there peyote involved in that? I have no idea. So maybe. Could be. How far into the future have you remote viewed? You can remote view as far into the future as you want, but I haven't remote viewed super far into the future. I don't know. I don't think I've remote viewed super far into the future. Now, I do know some people who have remote viewed some future events. I'll just say so. Yeah, I don't think I can talk about that though. So have I ever seen a blue square of light? Now I have not, but my team did see a white square, which turned into a black square out in the field. So that was the portal, that we call it the portal. A shift in this realm. Absolutely. Have I ever experienced a shift in this realm? I have. That is an interesting question. I have felt a shift before. I have absolutely felt a shift. And I felt like, it was almost like, I felt like I had gone into another dimension or something. It was really weird. Really weird. Power plants. Shamanic journey. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for that explanation. And yes, I'm a fan of Jessica Jones, the Marvel character, guys. Yes, I am.
Perfect.
I'm honored that they named a superhero after myself.
All right.
That was very nice of them.
We have 45 seconds. I'll ask any other questions coming through when we get through. Hello, Third Phase. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you guys here. Do you teach remote?
Yeah, the portal did look 3D, by the way. It did.
Very cool.
It even had a door on it. Mm-hmm.
Aliens. Thank you, Mark, Sunsaver, Rex, Todd, Ed, Michael, Ack, Jeff, VPXM, and Toe Tag for the amazing super chats tonight. Hi, Alex Kuhn. How you doing? And we're going to kick off the final half hour, Jessica, right after this. We're definitely going to have to bring her back. I think so. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Really appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We want to say hello to everyone and remind you that all of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight for the final time. Jessica Jones is with us. She's a remote viewer. She's a paranormal investigator, a cryptid hunter. She is a monster hunter. She is one tough cookie when it comes to Sasquatch. And what was that all about?
My elbow hit my table.
Okay. I thought it was something paranormal. Damn it.
It's all good.
Love it. I love it when paranormal stuff happens during the show, but that was not paranormal, unfortunately. But no. She has a podcast called Into the Portals that you want to check on out. Jessica, welcome back.
Thank you. You know, speaking of paranormal stuff that happens on air, I have a YouTube channel and I do videos pretty often. And on almost every video, I have orbs floating around my head. So you guys go check that out. Oracle of the South on YouTube.
Perfect.
Shameless plug.
That's okay. We'll allow that here. You know, speaking of remote viewing, there's a question that's up here. Have you ever remote viewed Dogman?
You know, I have not remote viewed Dogman before. I actually haven't. No. Now, one of my teammates is he's the southeastern director of the North American Dogman Project. So Bob Grumpy Wilson is one of my teammates. And I'm actually a member of his North Georgia Cryptid Research Group. So we do have a Dogman that lives in the county that I live in up here. For many years, there have been reports of the sheriff's department of a werewolf up in the north part of our county.
Really?
So, and it's been documented by BFRO. So, yeah. But I've never remote viewed it. Not yet.
Oh, you have to.
Well, I will now. I have a long list of things that people want me to remote view.
You got to check it on out.
All these suggestions, yeah. I'll add it to the list. For you, being a remote viewer and someone who is involved in the paranormal, how does remote viewing help you with your investigation? In all sorts of ways. Well, first of all, my big thing is that it helps keep my mind balanced and my energy balanced. Okay. So, and that keeps me from getting scared and from, freezing up and all that kind of stuff. It's a way to get your mind right. Okay. And it also makes you more attuned to your environment. Okay. And so you're able to see and feel energies and energy shifts and the subtleties of energy shifts out in the field, that kind of stuff. It's all like mind, body, spirit kind of stuff going on out there. And so, but it also, we are able to remote view locations before we go if we choose. We can go back and remote view incidents that happen. Anything. I mean, anything's possible when it comes to remote viewing. So, but yeah, it's all about looking deeper into incidents that we have out there.
Josh would like to know, is it possible to remote view parallel realities?
Sure, you could. You can remote view anything.
Have you?
I mean, I've had some interesting targets, we'll say.
Who chooses your targets?
Well, it depends. Well, the head of our group, of one of my Bigfooting groups, he's the one who taught us all remote viewing. So a lot of times if it's a practice target or things like that, he's the one who gives us our targets.
Brazelhoff is wondering, is it possible to remote view yourself?
Absolutely. You sure can. And I believe that there's been times where I think that when I've seen something that I thought was paranormal in my apartment a long time ago, I think that was actually me remote viewing myself. So I know it's wild. It's wild. Or it could have just been a ghost. I don't know. So yeah.
Have you ever?
It is.
Go on. Sorry. I apologize.
No, I was saying it is possible to remote view yourself.
Okay. So for you, having the ability to do this and to be able to kind of get in the heads of the creatures that you are trying to find, have you, whether through remote viewing, astral travel, channeling, whatever it may be, actually communicated with a cryptid, wondering where it is, what it's all about, where it comes from?
I have not personally, but my teammates have. So yes, but that's something that I'm not really able to talk about tonight. So yeah, but yes, we have been able to do that.
Josh is wondering, have you ever been attacked or threatened while remote viewing?
Well, that is why we actually have precautions that we take to not associate with lower vibrational energies while we're remote viewing. And so, yes and no. Yes and no, I have. Yeah, but no, I've not been physically attacked, but yeah, energetically, we have to be very careful when we're remote viewing. Yes.
How do you guard yourself, protect yourself?
Protective energy bubble, of course. There's all sorts of different ways. It's just all in the methods that we use. So,
golden bubble.
It's a process. Yeah, can be golden. Yeah, just a protective energy bubble.
Gee, I wonder how I just saw that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody may be trying to remote view you while you're doing this show. I'm not saying that it's the host or anything, but pulling up the golden energy bubble is a good sign, nonetheless.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll just pat myself on the back for that. Paranormal, let's get back to your paranormal experiences that you've had here for a while, and your entire life. Has a ghost ever given you information that maybe allowed you to solve any type of mysteries? And I'm not saying like I'm saying like old type stories here.
Yeah. Well, not really. Not in the 3D, like when I've been awake and I'm sitting here in my 3D reality and a ghost appears. I've never gotten good advice there, but I have a lot of communication on a 5D kind of level and in my dream state and things like that. And yes, I've gotten some serious information and some downloads in my dream state. So that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's hard to say because, I don't when we talk about ghosts and things like that, like I'm kind of going in between different, 3D to 4D to 5D, that stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know.
No,
I'm not sure how to answer that.
Okay,
let's just put it that way.
Let me rephrase that question then. Has a ghost ever told you something that has stuck with you? Maybe a piece of advice or what it's like on the other side or how they got there.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I've spoken with my grandfather on the other side, right? And this was actually in a spirit box session that I did a long time ago before ITC devices were popular and readily available to the general public. In the early 2000s, I did a ghost box session with a gentleman named Christopher Moon, who had a big ghost box. And I had all sorts of family, I guess, at the time, I believed it was my family. I still do. Telling me all sorts of things about myself and my future. And my spirit guide came through and told me all about my past, some of my past lives. And, my grandfather came through and said, we're not dead. He said, we're not dead. There's no religion here, on this side. We all live in a house together, there was all this stuff. It was I don't know. It was very comforting. It's always when we're talking to people who have passed on, who we love, we're all just looking to know that they're okay and that there is something to look forward to. We're going to meet them on the other side, and there's comfort in that. We just want the comfort of knowing that they're okay, right? And so I remember when I did that ghost box session, and I had all these questions. I didn't want to just know if my brother and my friends and my grandparents and my aunts and uncles were okay. I wanted to know what it was like on the other side. So I went in prepared with my notebook with all these questions to ask them, and they answered me all of my questions. I said, I asked my brother, what happened when you died? What happened at that moment when you died? And he told me. And so, there was the white light, he died in a car accident. There was the light, and he said he was lucky because, my aunt and my grandmother were there to meet him right away. And, it was like they had a big party and all this kind of, and so, yeah, I mean, I've been comforted by some of the things that I've been told from the other side, and really that's what I was looking for at the time. But yeah. I don't know. I mean, I haven't gotten any kind of profound message that's going to change the world or anything, tonight that I could tell you, but, just personal messages.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that if we look to it and we tune on in, we can get those messages. I know when my 29-year-old nephew passed away in 2018, I was stunned and I felt that he was panicking on the other side, not sure what happened. And I actually went in and I saw him on a bench, and he died on a picnic table, fell asleep from a fentanyl overdose, and never woke up. So it was peaceful for him. But when you go into that other side, I actually saw my two grandfathers and my grandmother who passed away when he was still in the womb of my sister. So she never met him on this side, only on the other side. And that was the first time that I had actually seen my grandmother on that side. Both my grandfathers had come to me. My grandmother never did. And then when I went looking for him, my grandmother was there. And I remember talking to her, and she wouldn't look at me. She kept her eyes, like I can see it, just like I'm looking at you right now or talking to the audience. She kept her eyes straight on him with the biggest, most beautiful smile. Like, my baby's come home. My grandson has come home.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just like, wow. Wow.
Comforting.
It was very emotionally powerful. Yeah. You know, the thing that I want our audience to understand is how real, Jessica, this stuff is. You know, it's not just imagination, because I think a lot of us out there who think, well, this has never happened to me. When it does, I think we write it down as imagination or a dream. How do we get the public to know the difference between that dream or imagination and this is reality of what you're seeing on the spiritual side?
Yeah. You know, I'm not sure, because until you have an experience on your own and you experience it yourself, it's hard for people to wrap their minds around it. So it takes personal experiences, really. You know, I remember, I remember watching shows about psychics and stuff, and I didn't understand psychics. I didn't realize that what I was experiencing was me being psychic, you know. And I would see shows about psychics, and I was thinking, I remember thinking, I don't know, there's just a stigma to that kind of stuff. And so people shy away from it, and I personally, my entire family since for generations has been having experiences with seeing our, passed on loved ones and whatnot, and having paranormal experiences and stuff. So it was very normal in my family. And, maybe people looked at me like I was crazy when I was a kid. I never even thought about that, for having experiences like I did. It was just normal for me. But for a lot of people, I do understand it's not normal. But that's just not the reality that I live in. So, but yeah, until people experience it for themselves, I can understand. It is hard to understand.
I want to get in a question from Ange in Australia here, going back to remote viewing for a second. Have you ever caught anyone at the remote viewing target becoming aware of you?
Yes, I have. I speak to the people that I'm remote viewing sometimes. And there was one gentleman who had been missing, and not to give details or anything, but he was buried somewhere. And he was very aware that I was there, very aware. But of course, he was passed on. So it's kind of a different story. He was not alive, but he was aware, and he was talking to me and told me where he was. So, yeah.
Do you astral travel too?
I have, yeah. I do, not consciously, but, I know that I do. I think a lot of us do.
It's fun. It's fun.
A lot of us do.
It's amazing where you can go.
It is. It is. All over the world, and all through the galaxies.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
All right. We got 7 minutes left with you. I want to hear a good story. What's a favorite Jessica weird story to tell?
Oh my gosh, I have so many. Let me think. What's a good one? I don't know. Well, we can talk UFOs. We can talk ghosts. We can talk Bigfoot. We can talk.
You pick. You pick. Our audience wants a story from you. Old David wants a story. Let's go UFOs. We haven't really
UFOs. Well. Let's see. How about the first time that I ever had a UFO experience that I can remember?
Beautiful.
And it was out in the field, okay, doing Bigfoot research. I'm sitting down. I went out in the field with my partner, one of the guys on the team. We went and decided we were going to set up little hiding spots in this field where my legs had been knocked out from underneath me the night before, okay, by the invisible guy that went flying past me. So we went and we set up a little spot. We wore all camo and ghillie suits and all that kind of stuff. We wanted a Bigfoot to walk up on us, right? And we were going to have our teammates come out in the middle of the night and act like normal humans, making a ruckus and, playing drums and getting their camping chairs out in the middle of this field and just making noise in the hopes that a Bigfoot would walk up to where my partner and I were and step on us. And so, or at least walk past us, right? So we could see them. And so we went out there around 3 PM, and we were there till at least 1 AM. I mean, it was like a very long day. But the whole time we were there, it started to get dark, and we had been sitting out there for hours already. And we started seeing these lights moving all around in the sky in these weird directions. And he was like, do you see that? And I was like, yeah, do you see that? And, a big light showed up right over us and started moving. It looked like a car was on the mountainside driving with the headlights, but there were no trails on the side of this mountain. And there was no way somebody was walking in a straight line with a lantern, And so our minds are just kind of going a mile a minute trying to figure out what was going on. We had all these lights everywhere. And, let's just say that by the end of the night, we had a lot of weird stuff happen. The group came out and acted normal, like normal humans. And we didn't have any Bigfoots walk up on us, but there were strange red lights in the woods right beside where he and I were sitting. And the whole group saw them, but there was no one in the woods beside us. And then our equipment malfunctioned where his went forward an hour and mine went backwards an hour. Okay. My recording devices were picking up what sounded like bottle rockets going off all around us, but we didn't hear that with our own ears. So, yeah. So things like that, that's one of my crazier stories about having an experience out in the woods on a Bigfoot expedition. Most of the time we go out there, we'll experience Bigfoot, but we have more activity that is related to an ET experience.
Don't tell the
maybe it's just the area.
Don't tell the BFRO that. They will literally edit your report.
I think that most of my guys have pretty much gotten kicked out of that group. So I don't know. I don't know. I have not been, I do not, no shade at any groups. I respect everyone's research. So I respect the fact that there are groups that want to study only Bigfoot, and there are groups that want to study only UFOs and all of the sorts, the ghost groups and all that kind of stuff. But in my experience, it's all there. It's all connected in some weird way. So, I just like being out in the woods with like-minded people like myself too. But like we can all agree to disagree on stuff. Like none of us, like we're always trying to disprove things too. And so, it's good to have people that are experts in every field on your team. Like we have a wildlife biologist, we have a nuclear physicist, we have, all sorts of stuff. Like I have a huge team. We have several teams, and we just have a wide range of people with a wide range of skills. Okay. So, that's, anyone that wants to get a team together, just make sure everybody's open-minded. Okay. Just have an open-minded group of people. That's all you really need.
That is probably the best piece of advice, because for a long time we tell our audience a lot of what not to do. But and I think a lot of shows are like that too, but there is a lot of good that can be done, and keeping an open mind is probably the best practice, because there are no answers. Anybody who says they have the answers is either lying or they are making up their own reality.
Well, you can think you have the answers, but then you got to be willing to be able to change those answers once you learn more.
Well, and that's exactly what doesn't happen in these fields. So I think that's great advice. We got 90 seconds left with you, Jessica. Do us a favor. Tell everybody where they can find your podcast, your YouTube channel, and more about you.
Yeah. You guys, tune in every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, to Into the Portal. It's on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. It's a show all about cryptids and cryptid research, okay? And also I have a YouTube channel, which is Oracle of the South, and my Instagram is Oracle of the South. I also have Into the Portal _Jessica. That's for my show. And then my shop is War Woman Goods, so you guys go check that out. Also, I've got Facebook. My public page is Jessica Oracle of the South, so you guys can find me there. But yeah, tune in Into the Portal. It's pretty awesome show, and I've been having a really fun time doing that. So yeah, if you're into cryptids and remote viewing, and it's a lot of Bigfoot field researchers are on my show. So a lot of them are people that I've been out in the field with that I trust.
That's a big thing. Go out with people you trust.
Yeah.
Because nature isn't a good thing to mess with. Jessica, what a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to do this again. This was way too much fun.
You.
We're going
to
do
and Dave,
this
I hope you'll come on my show as well.
Of course
Thank you
I
for
will.
having me.
Of course I will. And then I'll be the guy who disturbs everything and messes your flowers up. That's the way I will do it. But yes,
you can come fold my towels.
I will come fold your towels. Absolutely. Jessica Jones, everybody. Coming up next, we head into the swamp. We got a great story from Swamp Dweller. The fedora-wearing John Hudson will join us. We got Shirky Poo's news and the thought of the Dave. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio's hour number 3 is next. Lots of show left. We'll be right back. You're fantastic. You really are.
Thank you.
You really are.
Man, I had a blast. That was fun.
I did see the golden.
Okay.
I did see the golden orb, though.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to chat some more. We've got a lot in common here.
Oh yeah, I'm a weirdo. I just keep a lot of it quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I used to keep it all quiet until I don't know what happened. I don't know how this happened.
It's all good. No. I have. I'll tell you a quick story here before I gotta let you go. I remember one time I was doing the show, and this was, I think, January 2020 or January 2021, and I kept hearing this lady's voice, or I kept seeing this orb go through my flag. I thought there was somebody with a flashlight on the other side of the window. And I actually, during one of the breaks, went out and checked it out. There was nothing there. No one there. And I kept hearing this lady's voice. You can't see me. You can't see me. And so I had this friend of mine who is an astral traveler. I said, something's outside my house, or someone's outside my house. Can you come in and check it out? And she does, and she types me back on Facebook Messenger. Remember, I'm hosting the show at this point. And she goes, this lady kept telling me, you can't see me. You can't see me. We saw her.
I'm really glad I can't see you.
Yeah.
I wish I couldn't hear you.
Oh, yeah.
Just kidding.
That was kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I was.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was on the phone with Dr. Bob McGuire one time. Science Bob, we call him around here. And I actually picked up on a remote viewer viewing in on us.
Yeah, you got to be careful. There are times where we'll be doing training and stuff, and I feel like there's people trying to remote view us while we're training in remote viewing. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. There are people watching. There's always somebody watching,
There's
right?
always somebody watching. The thing is, you don't know. Like the guy we picked up, he was really nerdy looking. Your typical like guy with bigger glasses. He had a bald head with hair around the sides, no facial hair, wearing just like very plain type dress clothes, like a white golf shirt with like khaki pants. Oh yeah, we picked him right up. And it's funny because when you pick up a remote viewer, a lot of times they will leave just like that because they know you got them. They know you
busted.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It hasn't happened in a while, but it's pretty cool when it does. I love it.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm going to add all those things to my list to go remote view the dog man. I need to remote view that dog man.
Now your accent's coming out. All right.
It depends on who I'm hanging out with.
Yeah, because Canadians talk so much like you from the South.
Yeah. Well, I'm from the South. You get me around my family, and you'll hear it.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
All right. I will let you go. I got to prepare here for the show.
Okay.
What a wonderful pleasure.
Well,
let's
thank you.
Let's talk soon.
Let's talk soon, and thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. All right,
we'll talk on the weekend.
I'll see y'all soon.
We'll talk on the weekend.
Bye.
Good night. Jessica
bye.
Jones, everybody. How awesome was she? Let's just be honest. She was fantastic. Got to bring her back. Fantastic energy. Fantastic energy. I'm a big fan. Big fan. And we will see her again on this show, that is for sure. Hi, Chris Mo. Good morning in Austria to you. EQA, how you been? Long time, no time. Who else has joined us here late? Pam Smith, how are you? Apollo 11, nice to see you. Honestly, I feel like crap today. Dry Toast, the best name on YouTube, right there. Dry Toast. Yeah, I do. I feel like crud. I hate that word, crud. Why did I even use that? Terrible word. Terrible word. We've got, like, a minute. 1 minute. All right. I'm excited. Daniel Russo, what's happening? There was a question for me up here. I'm sorry I missed it. Brazelhoff. Do more people use? I would say for good, buddy. Brazelhoff, I would say for good. But for every good, there's bad, right? Big thank you to Mark, Sunsaver, Rex, Todd, Ed, Michael, Triple Act, Jeff, VPXM, and Toe Tag for the amazing super chats tonight. And remember, if you haven't signed up for our new YouTube channel, Canada's Great Unknown, we'd greatly appreciate it.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Neofron. Neofron is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as a clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is that time once again where we head into the swamp. Our resident storyteller, Swamp Dweller, tells us another spooky story.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. My uncle was a Navy corpsman with the U.S. Marine Corps. For those who do not know, the USMC does not have their own medical personnel. Instead, the U.S. Navy provides medical care. My uncle served with the Marines during Vietnam. He saw some rough things in that country. But this occurred after he was transferred to Okinawa. His job there was working with the explosive ordnance disposal teams, and much of Okinawa in the late 1960s was still littered with unexploded ordnance left over from the Second World War. The fighting in Okinawa between the U.S. military and the Japanese Empire was brutal and protracted. They were still discovering old bunkers fairly frequently, and it was their job to collect all the old shells and such for safe disposal. This usually involved filling a pit with the old bombs, shells, and landmines and doing a controlled detonation. Well, after several months of this duty, a new kid fresh out of 29 Palms joined the unit. Though my uncle was at the ripe old age of 25, he was the doc or the old man of the group. This 19-year-old was a prototypical FNG, standing for effing new guy, and he was hazed a bit by the squad. Nothing too serious, mind you, but even at play, Marines can be a bit rough. The new guy was always in and out of my uncle's sick bay, getting a band-aid for this or that, mostly small scrapes and things. He began confiding in my uncle, telling him that he did not think he was fitting in well with his squad mates, and was worried he was going to screw up. He was not the brightest kid, but he meant well. But how this kid ended up on EOD duty was a complete mystery. A few weeks later, the squad is called out to the countryside to look over another abandoned Japanese bunker that had been discovered recently. They were picking over the area, and a kid found a box in the brush. He called it to the sergeant's attention, who was standing nearby chatting with my uncle. The sergeant turned to tell him to mark it, but back away. Instead, the young Marine reached for it, and there was an explosion. Once the sergeant and my uncle picked themselves up off the ground, they ran over to where the Marine had been standing. Whether the box had been booby-trapped or was just full of unstable explosives, they never determined. The kid was just gone. Bloody rags and meat everywhere. About a month later, the same unit was prepping to do a controlled detonation of more collected, unexploded ordnance. I do not recall the explanation of how this happened, but apparently another team had loaded up the detonation pit with a load of bombs, covered it with soil, and left the area. It should have never happened. None of the warning signs were posted stating that this pit was loaded. As the team's vehicles approached the area, my uncle sees a Marine at the edge of the woods nearby waving them down and yelling for a corpsman. The truck stops, and my uncle grabs his bag and runs off after the figure. Once he got to the tree line, he loses sight of the Marine and calls out to him. Instead of continuing to hear the calls for a corpsman, he hears very distinctly the voice of the young Marine who died in the explosion from right behind him. "Sorry about that, Doc. Couldn't let you guys go any further." He whirls around, but nobody is there. A moment later, a massive explosion erupts from the detonation pit as the previous team sets off their charges. If their small convoy had continued, they would have been right at the edge of the pit when they went off. There was much storm and fury as multiple safety regs had been violated, and it led to a slew of new procedures to ensure that it would never happen again. As I said, my uncle saw some rough things during his time of service, but he said the only thing that gave him chills after all of that was the voice of a young Marine who had saved his unit from beyond the grave.
Oh, wow. Wow. We love the Swamp Dweller around here. Make sure you go over to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller Reads, and make a hearty push on that subscribe button. He deserves it. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. It is that time once again, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring in the fedora-wearing John Hudson for the unbiased UFO Report. The fedora-wearing John Hudson coming all the way from us, from his beautiful home in Northern California. John, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing real well, Dave. I'm sorry to hear that you're not feeling well, my friend.
Oh, I'm going to get you to bring your mic up just a little bit if you don't mind.
Oh, yep. Let's see. Is that better?
A little bit. I mean, you might want to...
Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. Let's make sure this is turned... yeah, that's turned on. Everything's normal. I don't know what's going on.
There you go.
Can you hear me very well?
Well, you're pointing it towards your neck rather than your mouth.
Well, yeah, I need a clip for it, so it's kind of hard. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, but
now we can hear you. Now we can hear you. Yeah. The technical love of Spaced Out Radio. All right, John, you know what? There isn't a lot of news going up, but the news that is coming out is very, very big because Chris Mellon, who has, for the most part, been the strong, silent type, only speaking when he feels it's relatively necessary, came out and literally has, kind of dropped the gloves on the UFO world, the government world, with a new piece that he brought out. I'll let you explain.
Well, I mean, essentially, there's two things going on. I mean, in one frame, you have this article that I referenced the other day, which I highly recommend everyone go read, in the debrief, where basically, Christopher Mellon goes over in pretty, let me say, far more vivid detail than I expected anyone to let him do, as to what he sees as some of the real challenges that we're facing with all of this, including the legislature and the groups and so forth. But then there's this second thing that's come up, which is essentially something that came to us from the Twitter sphere, which is always a lovely place to get breaking news, and that is a specific quote he stated, which I'm going to read. It says, "To clarify, I do think the ET hypothesis best explains the facts for some of these incidents. But that is not proof, and I agree there could be more conventional explanations, or could be a more conventional explanation. Regardless, our failure to identify these incidents is unacceptable and imperils our national security." So, I mean, he's still being the politician and giving himself an out. But for anyone of his stature to be going out and putting in writing that he stands behind the ET hypothesis for any portion of the unacknowledged or undocumented incursions, that's, well, let me tell you, from the reaction that he got on Twitter, everyone was pretty taken back by his statement.
For him to come out and talk about this, it reminds me, John, last week we talked about Jim Semivan, the former spy and spook, literally coming out and talking about his alleged alien abduction with his wife. And I asked you point blank, is this the start of phase 3? Okay? Is this the start of phase 3? And you were kind of like, well, I don't really know. But then Chris Mellon drops this extraterrestrial bomb again. And look, we may be reading into this a little bit too far. There is a possibility, but I don't think we are, John. I think we have seen the start of phase 3. And I think that we're going to start seeing more and more ET talk come up through 2022 and beyond?
It's hard because, if you think about it, the quiet period that Lou Elizondo mentioned several months ago, that we've essentially been in for some period of time now. We have been in it for some period of time now. Considering the rate in which things move in this world, the amount of time that we've been in this quiet period is kind of started to exceed the limitations of what's reasonable. And so because of that, it would be logical to assume that you would start to see actions start to take place as a result of the back-end work that was done during that quiet time. So as a result of that, what we're seeing right now is actually terribly logical, completely independent as to whether there are any phases defined. Okay? However, I agree with you that if the phases were defined that way, then this falls within the definition of those phases and does support that hypothesis.
Okay, is it more than hypothesis, though? Because, look, the one thing that Lou Elizondo has always taught us is we, as the public, when we hear Lou Elizondo or Chris Mellon speak regarding this topic, we have to be able to read between the lines and take what they are saying between the lines and glue it together for our own knowledge. As Lou has stated, there are a lot of Easter eggs that he has given out that not a lot of people have picked up on. And it's been fun but frustrating for him. So for you, looking into this, and reading that article that Mellon put out there, do you think they are trying to push the synopsis that, look, people, we got to start getting the extraterrestrials into this conversation because we already know it's not Russia. We already know it's not China. We already know it's not our own technology, but we got to figure out where it's coming from.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this will actually dovetail into the next article I want to cover, because this does kind of tie into Havana syndrome in a way. But the thing is that it's so hard to know. For example, if you look at the way the phases were defined, right? That wasn't rocket science, okay? That's actually how most people would lay it out, right? So what that means is that, do we have a bunch of players that are loosely organized, right? Maybe they're on a shared mail list and they coordinate to a degree, but it's very much like a pack of cats that hurt each other in different directions depending on who's feeling the most passionate about things, right? And because of their awareness of the phases, they take it on their own to then reach out and do things that they think will support those phases. Because I've personally been in that situation before, where I've been the one that's been able to help support something that I didn't normally have any involvement in, right? Or is it a very meticulous? There's a leader of the group, and he's got he or she has a gavel hammer, and they all decide what they're going to push that one week. That's what some people imply, and that's what I'm more skeptical about. But I completely agree that depending on how whatever cause you think you can say to it, what we're seeing now is a shift of the conversation to the biological.
Absolutely.
And that's a really good thing.
That is a good thing, but it's also been a very, very sticky road for this. Because when the To the Stars Academy came out, John, they were anti-alien, they were anti-UFO, we got into the UAP subject.
But they weren't anti-alien. They liked the scary ones.
Yes, they were.
But they loved the scary ones. They wanted to make movies about the scary. It was kind of like a love-hate relationship,
They were not ready for that conversation. They were not ready. They did not want the public to put together aliens and UFOs. They weren't ready for that. They had to get the subject out there. Now, I know you're TTSA fanboy and still have boxer shorts that have the TTSA logo on it. I get that. I can appreciate that. But this is truth. That's the truth that I've been told.
Well, no. But here's the thing: is that I mean, you can say whatever you want about my opinions about TTSA, and you'd probably be very entertained by my real opinion. But the thing is that what I don't. Let me put it this way: if that's what TTSA was trying to do, they sucked at it.
Of course,
because they didn't do a good job of it at all. Because to me, they were not shying away from the alien conversation at all. What they were doing was they were trying to paint the aliens as monsters. What they were trying to do was spread fear. What they were doing is spreading stories about aliens that were scary. So they wanted to talk about aliens. They just wanted to talk about them in a very negative light.
That wasn't the TTSA, though. That was Tom DeLonge. Tom DeLonge had been...
Who's the CEO of TTSA?
Interim CEO.
He's still the CEO. I mean, that's the public spokesman of a public company.
That's because
right?
nobody wants to run a worthless company.
All I'm saying is that all you can do is I mean, look, if the CEO is saying something, you can either, I mean, that's the position of the company to a degree, right? I mean, it's like, I mean, I agree that there was no interest to talk about, I agree that there was absolutely no interest to talk about experiencers. That I completely agree
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And look, the person I got this information from was very close to the inside. Okay? And once again, I hate saying I can't say who, but I can't say who.
No. And I don't doubt that it was internal policy. I'm just saying that as an outsider watching it happen, I never got the sense they were anti-alien. I got the sense that they wanted to talk about aliens. They just wanted to talk about them in a negative light. I did get the sense they were anti-experiencers, but I never got the experience. I mean, the first movie they're coming out with is Monsters in California, right? They want to sell fear.
Well, absolutely, but Tom DeLonge, for the public record, did not have a fear of aliens until he started chatting and writing his books with Peter Levenda. Peter Levenda, who's has a religious background in this field, also started saying that pretty much anything that came from space on a biblical proportion would be evil, would be bad. And that's why Tom DeLonge went on Joe Rogan, made a fool out of himself by saying, we got to put nuclear weapons in space because the aliens are coming. They're going to eat us. They're going to enslave us. They're going to kill us. They're going to wipe out our planet. And that's what we need to be. And Tom actually got warned by the remainder of the people on the To the Stars Academy board of directors to not be speaking that way, and that was warning number one that they got from him, and that's why he was banned from much of the press for a long time, and we didn't hear from Tom. And that's when we saw the immediate emergence of Lou Elizondo. All right, it was all fed by Peter Levenda on Tom's attitude towards that, and that is the God's honest truth that I've been told by numerous sources, including Tim McMillan from the Debrief.
No, I don't doubt it in any way, shape, or form. I just, like I said, that's just in practice. I just saw, just a different side of it myself, I guess.
Yeah, and so, I'm not trying to overstep you here. Please don't think that.
No, I think it's interesting that there's a delta. I mean, because once again, that shows the lack of professionalism and capabilities of the organization, right? I mean, it's like, if you, but yeah, I mean, Levenda is, I mean, he's, for all of his positive attributes, I mean, he's fire and brimstone, without a doubt.
No, absolutely. So, I mean, that's where the whole aspect came from. And they really were out to separate UFOs from extraterrestrials, and especially, like you said, which I 100% agree with you, the experiencers. They didn't want anything to do with the experiential crowd. Not at first. But now, okay, so I know I've explained this a number of times. So we got 2 minutes left before we got to go to break. This, from what I have been told by insiders, this comes as a 3-phase series. Phase 1 was to admit that there's something in our airspace that we don't know. That's what led to the videos. That's where we heard could be Russia, could be China, could be something human, could be from a far-off land. Phase 2 was confirmation that it wasn't China, wasn't Russia, nothing human, and we are now trying to figure out where this technology is coming from. Confirmation that UAP are real, get it into the government's hands so we could get some taxpayers' money and everything that we've seen play out. Well, guess what? We got the budget, especially in the United States. Up here in Canada, we're still running around trying to figure out where our prime minister is hiding. All right?
Well, you don't use real money anyway. So
well, if you're at McDonald's, order a McTrudeau, right? Anyways, moving on. Phase 3, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we have Bill Nelson talking about extraterrestrials. We have people at the Pentagon talking about extraterrestrials. And now Jim Semivan comes out about his potential abduction with his wife that's happened twice, where the beings were in their bedroom. And now we have Chris Mellon talking about the potentiality of extraterrestrials visiting here on Earth. To me, that tells me point blank, Phase 3 has started.
Okay, but and I agree, and that all makes sense to me. But I would ask this question: I still see us as extremely early in this entire world. So we're already at Phase 3. So does that mean there's like 78 phases? I mean, it's like come on. I mean, it's like.
Let's go to commercial break. We'll discuss this afterwards because I think you just hit on a very good point. John Hudson, the Unbiased UFO Report, continues on Spaced Out Radio. When we return, we also got Shirky Poo's news and the thought of the day. The jam-packed final half hour of this big show is next. No talking about this until we get back on the air, because this is going to be good stuff. Going to be very good stuff.
Let me just answer one question from Anne-Celine. Celine, the reason why they were talking about fear is because of the fact that they wanted to, assuming that that's why they were doing it, it was essentially, the hypothesis is it was to build up the defense budget. That would be the whole reason for fear, is to build the defense budget. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But that was the hypothesis as to why they were selling fear.
Terry Bradford, John Poe, welcome to the show. How you guys doing? I'm surprised you're wearing a red shirt today, John. Not going to lie, it's thrown me off a little bit.
Yeah, I was feeling a little, sacrificial. I figured,
nice.
Go down for the team. The red shirts. Always
nice.
the one that gets it. So
good for you. Very proud.
Yeah, it was actually funny. A while ago, I put this shirt on, and my daughter was like 4 or something like that. She wanted me to take it off because it didn't look like me, because she was used to all these dark colors. It's the same thing. Like at one point, she got really upset because in Scooby-Doo they changed the color of Shaggy's shirt.
No.
Yeah, for like this one little series they did, his shirt's red, and it really bothered her. It was funny, cute.
Shaggy, the burnout we never knew. Love it. Love Shaggy.
I love the passion that which Matthew Lillard has taken on that role, and how he will voice that anywhere and everywhere, no matter who asks him to do it. I love it.
It is fantastic.
Yeah, because he plays a fantastic Shaggy.
Totally.
Like, you can pick apart a lot of the rest of those movies, but like Matthew Lillard was fantastic.
By the way, I want to thank our audience who's checked out Canada's Great Unknown so far. And it's been a lot of fun putting that together. We're at 252 subscribers. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but hey, it's only been up a week. And it's wonderful. It really is. Yes, D. Ocean Swagger. Mick Trudeau is a chicken burger at McDonald's. It's the McChicken burger. That's the truth.
Say hi, Maui. Say hi, Maui. Hi, Maui.
Look at him all tucked into you there. That's awesome. That's awesome. Kind of lost my train of thought there. Oh, if you haven't heard yet, Lynn Wallington on February 26th is going to be doing a 6-hour show, Women in Ufology. All right, some of the names she has there, Nicole Sasquatch will be co-hosting with her, Melinda Leslie, Alex Dietrich, Cheryl Costa. I got to get a list here. Hold on. It's an impressive list here. Where did I put it here? I got it somewhere. Lorian Fenton will be there. Chrissy Newton. Christina Gomez. Jess Rogie.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. 6 hours of women in ufology and the brains that they are bringing to their research to all of you. It'll start at 3 p.m. Pacific or 2 p.m. Pacific and run right through the afternoon until about 8 p.m. Pacific. It's going to be amazing. Absolutely amazing. The lineups are full. Lynn's got the list. And you're going to want to check it out. I cannot wait for that to come on out. Samantha Mowat will be there. This, yeah,
but I hope that there's a small portion of that that's as ugly and honest as it needs to be.
Oh, it's going to be. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic.
Because I have to be honest. If I had a friend who was the female type who wanted to get into this community, I would have a hard time encouraging her to do so.
Oh, yeah. Lynn's got it all covered, man. That's awesome. This all came together. I'll explain it after the show. Here we go.
Yeah. That's awesome.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. If you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to quickly mention something here for our radio audience as well. Now, on February 26th, Lynn Wallington, our weekend host, Spaced Out weekend host, is going to be holding a one-day, 6-hour panel of women in ufology. Some of the greatest minds in women in ufology are coming together for this one day of straight UFO talk, from experiencers to science to everything in between. The statistics, it is going to be great. And you know what? You can find it on our website. We're going to have it up there very soon. And we're going to make sure that we get it all out there. It's only going to be on our YouTube channel. You are going to want to watch that. That's on February 26th. It's a Saturday, and it's going to be amazing. So make sure you check it on out as we continue on with the fedora-wearing John Hudson and the unbiased UFO report. John, right before the break, we were talking about, have we entered phase 3 of the whole UFO aspect? Now, you had stated, hey, we haven't even finished phase 2 here. How can we be going on to phase 3? I think what we're seeing.
And let me just add to that is that what they've defined as phase 1, 2, and 3 is like 10% of the journey, right? I mean, like there's so much more that has to happen after that. Like, why isn't that being defined?
Well, I think what we're seeing here is a blending. It's like putting sprinkles on it. That's the next part of the conversation. That's what I think is happening. Look, we have to find out and get through a number of reports here first. Okay, let's see how clean those reports are. The next report that's due is near the end of June, I believe. And that's what we need to be able to see.
Yeah. So I think I'm just losing patience. I want to be discussing tourism visas, and I want to be discussing amnesty rights, and I want to be discussing intergalactic marriage laws and religious rights and so forth. I mean, it's like that's the point I want to get to. Like this stuff's just like peanuts. Very frustrating.
By the way, did you happen to see the photo of scientist Gary Nolan with Katy Perry?
No, I didn't. I gotta find that.
There is a photo with scientist Gary Nolan with Katy Perry.
That's hilarious. I had no idea.
And a lot of people will just look at that as, okay, they were there. I have been told that there was a meeting, okay, between some people involved in the UFO community and some big-name scientists and some very elite business and Hollywood types that got together a couple of months ago to have a very long evening of discussing the reality of this subject.
I am beyond pleased to hear this, and I was kind of hoping that what's her name? Who's the one woman who's been out in front in the music industry about UFOs? Has a TV show. Anyway, we've talked about her. But I would take what she's done and essentially use that as a motivation and a catalyst for other people to get involved. Because let's face it, if you are in a position where you've accepted any part of what we're talking about is real, and then you ask yourself, okay, so this is real. How do we educate the Americans between the ages of 8 and 12 about this? This is how you do it. You go to the music industry, right? That would be the way to do it. So I think this is brilliant. I think as long as it's done very, very carefully and very transparently, I think it's awesome. Because let's face it, as we've talked about time and time again, music artists are not just as likely as anyone else to have an interest in this world. They are actually more likely to have an interest in this world.
Well, this goes way beyond Demi Lovato.
Thank you.
Okay, it goes way beyond Demi Lovato. Yeah.
Oh, no, but I
don't call them aliens.
All I was saying was I was hoping that she would be a catalyst to show that to wake up everyone else in the industry to say, wait a second, we could be doing a lot more than she's doing, and we could be doing it more honestly and doing a lot of good, and let's get together and see what we can pull off. That's awesome. I mean, it's nice to hear there's some adults in the room.
Well, this meeting that I was told about, and to be honest with you, the person who told me about it, at first I didn't believe them. Okay, It sounded a little bit too odd, if I were to say that. And when I knew she was there, Katy Perry, that is. I was also told there were a number of billionaires there and some very other high, wealthy, and prominent people, because when it does explode, there is going to be a lot of people who are going to all of a sudden be on board with this subject. and that is the.
Ooh, are we gonna do like another We the World video? Like,
no, it's not. It's not going to be. It's not going to be like that or anything like that. But what I look, this person who told me this didn't tell me much detail. All I was told was that there was a high-profile meeting, and there were certain scientists there from the UFO world, and I didn't even know. I didn't. Just hear me out for a second. I didn't even know which scientists were there until I saw the photo between Gary Nolan and Katy Perry. Yeah.
Well, I agree with you. That's a logical connection. But what I was going to say is that you have to assume that once this becomes general conversation, that a significant portion of the entertainment industry is going to come out and tell their own stories because it's all coming out and because they want to be included. And so having anyone come in and try to orchestrate or steer that in any constructive way is perfectly logical because it's probably going to happen naturally anyway.
You would think so.
Right? You know, I mean, let's say, I mean, honestly, it's going to happen everywhere. I mean, every industry is going to go through this. Suddenly you're going to have a bunch of truckers. Suddenly you're going to have a bunch of this group and this group and this group and this group. And it's going to spread like wildfire.
You would hope. I mean, for people who don't know, I mean, Gary Nolan and Jacques Vallée are highly, highly involved in scientific study at Stanford University regarding this phenomena. And it is something that they are pushing together. They are pushing it very, very hard. And I will show you
and I should add that I finally found out how that relationship began, and it was because of the work that Gary Nolan did on that little alien baby thingamajigger, that Atacom, whatever it was, that thing that they thought was an alien baby that turned out not to be. So the DNA work that Gary Nolan did on that is what resulted in him and Jacques having a lunch in Palo Alto, and then that lunch went so well that resulted in them now working together.
All I'm saying is I am very jealous that Dr. Gary Nolan has his picture with Katy Perry. I am very
that's cool.
Jealous about that. Now, I don't know, and this is for the record, I don't know if that was the same party.
Sure, of course not.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Not.
I mean,
that could have been an after party from the event. I mean, who knows, right? Or maybe they're BFFs now. Who knows? I mean, anything's possible.
All I know is that I'm going to get Gary Nolan on this show, and I am totally going to fangirl over Katy Perry with him, that he got to stand up close and personal with her. And now I want his autograph.
And I want to know, was Keisha there?
No idea. I think...
If she wasn't, she's going to be pissed when she finds out.
I don't know. I really don't know. But, I mean, the idea that there is this unit coming together behind the scenes, this is the stuff we don't hear. Okay? This is the stuff we don't know. These are the conversations that we don't think of in everyday UFO Twitter land. This is why a lot of the big names in this field, or whom we consider the power players in this field, whether it's Elizondo or Chris Mellon or Jacques Vallée or Gary Nolan or Eric Davis, this is why they just look at all of us at UFO Twitter and shows like we're doing like this, and they laugh. They do. They pay attention because every now and again there's a nice spot of information, but for the most part, they laugh. Because we're not getting it. We're not seeing the bigger picture of what they want us to see or what we're not ready to see. This is very controlled. You know, it's like a demolition. You have to put the dynamite sticks in the right spots in order to implode a building. Right? Otherwise, debris gets thrown everywhere. That's where you may want to talk, John. or on the radio.
No, I'm struggling. I don't know if I agree on how orchestrated it is. I mean, I've gotten pretty high up in the world, and I find that things don't really work out that way. But it's an interesting hypothesis on your part.
Could be. Yeah. I really don't know. It's my assumption. Right?
Yeah. But I mean, but the thing is like I said, to me, it's perfectly logical. And the thing is that you're gonna want all sorts of people from all sorts of areas getting involved in this over time, right? And it's like, and yeah, I mean, the most impactful things that get done for this will be done by places that we haven't even heard of yet. I mean, you really want to see where this ends up. Go do a search for that UN video where they show what it's like for an alien child going to a school with Earthlings, right? There was a UN promotional video or something that was done with a little alien kid. You watch that. That's probably fairly realistic, but it's to me, it's like, I don't know, like I said, even if it hadn't been orchestrated, I would have expected a bunch of the stars to reach out to scientists they know, if they have a passion for this topic already, and start laying groundwork for, getting involved in whatever, and speaking out, maybe, doing something with Demi Lovato, maybe, whatever it may be, engaging in the community in some way, shape, or form. And eventually some of them will start writing albums about it,
Well, I think the big thing, the reason why they haven't gone down the Demi Lovato road is because she's, hooked her trailer up to Dr. Stephen Greer. And the fantasies that he has. Okay, quickly, we've got about 2 minutes here, buddy. You wanted to get into the Havana Syndrome and UFOs. What's this about?
Yeah, so this came out in Gary Nolan's discussion, and this discussion was done with Lex Friedman, and I this thing is packed with so much stuff that needs to be discussed. I can't even begin. All sorts of things fell out of this interview, like the fact that Gary Nolan just joined the Galileo Project. Surprise, surprise. But the thing that was really significant was it turns out that the group of people that were brought to Gary Nolan who had apparent brain injuries that had an unknown origin, the assumption was that group was a group that was heavily populated by contactees. That wasn't known. That was assumed, right? And it was known that some of them did, right? It turns out that after engaging with Jacques Vallée and after doing a bunch of work, it turns out that a significant number of the patients that Gary Nolan has been looking at, he's no longer looking at them. Because what he's discovered is that they're actually Havana syndrome. And as soon as they get tagged Havana syndrome, they're no longer in his domain. And they go back and they're now under a different purview of the government that's doing that analysis. And so to me, it's extremely interesting. One, that essentially we had a group of people that some believed were showing indications of being experiencers, and that's not true. They're actually sufferers of Havana syndrome, which we know very little about. Two, the fact that the instant it becomes Havana syndrome, it's now assumed to no longer be contact, and therefore it's pulled out of Gary Nolan's jurisdiction and put into another system. And essentially, he indicated that the majority of the cases fell into that. It ended up being categorized as Havana syndrome. And now, the flip side is that you recently had some people come out and try to claim that the Havana syndrome is not a Russian or Chinese tool. And we've gone through that same process of saying that, alien stuff isn't Russian or Chinese either. So I don't know. I'm starting to get a really uncomfortable feeling that Havana syndrome might end up being much more deeply tied to this phenomenon than anyone cares to admit.
Oh, absolutely. The amount of trauma that is out there that is caused by these experiences, I think it's a very, very strong path for anybody to study. And if Gary Nolan is going down that, and trust me, our audience, you're going to hear Gary Nolan's name a lot in 2022. I really do believe that. He is turning out to be a very big power player in this entire phenomena and the true scientific study of it all. John Hudson, another great unbiased UFO report, and we got to cut it off right there. We're going to get to Shirky Poo's news. All right, let's get right to it. It's a tough choice. Would you rather pick pneumonia or a complete mental breakdown? If you're sick, a doctor will generally prescribe you medications. 9 times out of 10, you'll soon start feeling better. But even the most mundane medicines can have the most unexpected side effects in certain people. A Swiss man found that out the hard way when normal antibiotics caused him to hear the voice of God. Or at least he thought. The bizarre event was described in the journal BMC Psychiatry back in August 2021. The anonymous patient, a 50-year-old man, had managed to catch a nasty case of bacterial pneumonia. If you're lucky enough to have had pneumonia, you know it's not a nice disease. This lung inflammation causes often painful coughing, breathing difficulties, and fever, amongst others. Try capsicum if you have it. Yeah, they'll never tell you that, though. That's my opinion. Should pneumonia remain untreated, it could rather easily lead to pulmonary failure and death. In fact, the disease is the leading cause of death in developing countries, and it kills roughly 4 million people every year. So the man needed medicine, goes to his doctors, gets diagnosed, prescribes some common pneumonia medication, antibiotics. The man had been lucky in that he had never taken antibiotics in his life. But even then, he probably couldn't even imagine the high he was about to get. Within a couple of days of taking them, the man started exhibiting strange symptoms. He became unusually energetic and extremely talkative, although he was mostly spouting complete nonsense. He also started experiencing mood swings, became cranky and irritable. Later, he also told doctors that he felt like he was going to die. But the most bizarre thing was hearing God speak to him. According to him, the big guy had chosen him to carry out a special mission. As you could probably expect, the man's family got a little bit concerned by the sudden and unexplained change in behavior. At a loss, the man's family brought him to the emergency department at University Hospital in Geneva, where they quickly found out that his medication was giving him psychosis, and no, he wasn't talking to God himself. He never did carry out the mission. Oh, this stuff never happens to me. A drawing purchased for $30 at a yard sale has been valued at more than $10 million after being identified as a previously unknown work by Albrecht Dürer. The London-based Agnews Gallery in Clifford Schorer, a Boston-based art collector and consultant for the gallery, was in a Massachusetts bookstore in 2019 when the owner asked him to take a look at a drawing purchased by a friend. Yeah, he looked at it. Friend paid $30. Now he's going to be a millionaire when it goes to auction. And that's about it for today, as we'll thank Shirky Poo for a wonderful, wonderful set of news. And we'll bring it all back again tomorrow. Big thank you to the fedora-wearing John Hudson for another inspiring edition of the Unbiased UFO Report. We also say a big thank you to Mr. Swamp Dweller for another amazing story on our Swamp Dweller Spooky Tales that kicks off hour number 3 of this show each and every night, along with our great guest, Jessica Jones, who came on in, talked some remote viewing, talk some Sasquatch, talk some ghosts, and the elusive UFOs. Yeah, she'll be back. I promise you that. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking us in the background with Little Brother Is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself, special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone listening in on YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.